Are you feeling stuck or craving a deeper sense of purpose in your life? Today, we're diving into an incredible journey of transformation, from struggles and self-doubt to finding inner peace, strength, and fulfillment. In this interview, you'll hear life-changing insight on overcoming fear, breaking free from old limitations, and creating the life you truly want. So if you're ready to tap into your own power and step into the life you've been searching for, keep watching. You won't want to miss this one. Jorge's done a ton of documentaries, and he's met some of the most amazing people. You've interviewed Joe Dispenza and Wayne Dyer and Marianne Williamson and so many others.
Yes.
But you went through a really tough spot in the beginning when you first got. I was blown away by this story. That's why I just have to share this. That it's true. It shows that the American dream still exists. That it's still possible.
Yeah, it is possible. Yes.
And so, tell us what your early days were when you first got to the U.S. and your reason for going. What you go through in that process, and then we're going to go into what he's doing now, which is fascinating.
I came from Argentina in 1987, and I left Argentina like I didn't want to live here anymore. And I was looking for some challenges because as a musician in Argentina, until I was 30 years old, I did everything I could. And there was like a ceiling that I couldn't pass. And I was a drummer. So I came, not here, I went to Los Angeles to study more music and also drumming. And it was very tough because actually when I came to Los Angeles, I was illegal for 7 years. I couldn't get the green card or anything. It was a tough time. And that for me was a shock because I'd never been like that in any country. So I stayed for 7 years illegal, which was really something that dragged me in my career because actually a lot of really good jobs I couldn't take. The other thing is I didn't know the language. So I had to go to ESL in Hollywood. In Fairfax High School, I did 2 years there and I read a lot of stuff in English. I wanted to learn the language. And I stayed in a place. My aunt used to live there. She's passed away. And she was the manager of a porn shop.
A porn shop.
A porn shop in Hollywood in the worst area where there was a lot of prostitutes and drug dealers and everything. And I was like a dandy. I came to Los Angeles after traveling the world and playing at the Carnegie Hall and many other places. And suddenly I was in the worst place in Los Angeles. And my room was at the top of the screen of the theater that was 24 hours. And I have to buy earplugs because of the noise. And it was awful. You can imagine it was porn movies all the time. And then it was ridiculous. So that was my beginning in Los Angeles. But I knew that I was going to stay there. And I said, this is it. This is your life right now. And I started contacting people, other musicians. And because I didn't know the language, I started in the Hispanic market, playing music that I never played in my whole life before because they play cumbias and rancheros and all the Mexican music that I had no clue. And I've never done dance places. It was always concerts and things like that. So for me, it was a major shock. And the thing that is, as usual, everything that is bad for you, it has a positive side. Okay.
Because you talk about contrast and the impact. That's something you've really figured out in life is that we always have contrast.
Contrast is necessary. It's necessary to grow. Otherwise, you're in the comfort zone. And in the comfort zone, yes, you're fine or you are not fine. The comfort zone is not always comfortable. So the thing is, you're used to that. And you do that, and then you can die that way. In my case, I didn't like that. And being in Los Angeles was a major thing for me to grow. But the good thing about that was that my ego that was huge, and I realized that later on, was minimized because of the situation. I was playing with musicians that they were not professionals in places that were awful, fairgrounds. So when people went to dance and it was a dirt floor, the dirt was covering everything. So I couldn't even see the musicians. So it was insane. It was ridiculous. But at the same time, it was a major lesson for me to go very down and understanding things. And later on, I realized that made me a different person, a much better person. And that contrast also gave me the possibility to be able to share things in different levels of consciousness or of economics, of different things that I could accommodate myself to the environment. And I realized that Every environment has good things and bad things. And it's up to you where you put your attention. And if you understand exactly that the pain that you're suffering at that moment is a reward in the future.
So pain you're suffering in the moment is a reward in the future. I love that because a lot of times we can't see the silver lining in moments of such crisis. And I love that you, in spite of everything that was going on, you had this strength to say, I want more and I've got to figure out a way to get out of this. And I think so many times we sit in life and we just dwell in it. We can't get out of that. And I love the story that you have because it's so inspiring to me that you went from far away land, not speaking the language, having to figure out how to navigate a new country and survive. And you managed to do that. And it takes a lot of strength. And where do you think you got your strength though, initially, when you had to pull yourself out of that?
Since I was 15, 16 years old, I started reading things related to spirituality. And I remember the first book that I read was Siddhartha from Hermann Hesse, the German, and it blew me away. It was a small book, and it was in my house. I don't know who bought it, but I found it and I read it in one day because it was not big, but it gave me the idea there was something else in life. Now, when I was 12, and I have to go back because actually my family was very religious. My mom and my grandma, Christian, Catholic, very, very religious. And when I was 12, I did what we call the Primera Comunión. I don't know how you say
First
that.
communion?
The first communion at the same time. So I did that and I went to catechism, the class. And every time they were teaching me something, I had questions because I always ask questions. And the thing is, they had no answers for many of the things that they were teaching. And that for me doesn't work. Dogma is the worst thing that you can show me. If you want to talk to me in an open way and be ready for me to give you some other point of view, and then we can debate. When there's no debate, there's dogma, and you have to really follow it blindly. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, because dogma meaning, for those who don't understand, is this idea that we follow blindly. You just have this, that's where a lot of people tend to be in religion, or certain beliefs, could be politics, could be a lot of things.
Exactly. It's not only religion, it could be politics. And today we are living also in politic dogma. The thing, dogma is a bunch of rules that everybody is following without the scientific proof that it works that way.
Mm-hmm.
So you follow it blindly. I don't like that. Because when you do that, there's somebody else that is taking this, that is going to be in control of you because you're following something without understanding why you're following. And there's a lot of things going on today that are like that. Since the pandemic and since the governments and since everybody is going into a position of power instead of logic and understanding and debate. There's no debate.
There's no debate. But yet we are, especially with the election being now 5 days away.
Oh.
And I think that at the time of recording this, I see even myself getting caught up in all of the news and the reporting and the stories, the things on YouTube. Just the media it creates so much fear. I was on a call with my women's group yesterday, and one of them said, we have to be ready, make sure you're stocked up and you have to have everything you need. And I said, what? So there's this fear that all of this is causing. And when you said this thing about being aware and questioning things, this is what I think has happened in our society so much, is that we have so many things like this device that we can get lost in. We can be buried in it. We can just spend all day. I said jokingly one time, if I had Wi-Fi, a power cable, and my phone, and I was in house arrest or in a jail cell, I would probably could keep myself busy the rest of my life.
Of course.
Because it was the way, what I'm saying is I think we go blind, or we've gone numb to being entertained and to occupying our mind and everything we're doing constantly 24/7.
Yeah.
That we don't have a free moment to just sit still and be quiet and think and to contemplate.
And create a dependency like a drug.
Yeah.
So when you leave your house, if you realize that you don't have your phone, you get into panic mode.
Yeah.
Because I don't have my phone. Oh, your life is dead. You are dead. Your life is gone. That is, we put our lives into something that it should be something that we can use for our life to go better, to go faster, to go deeper, but actually is dominating us, which is not a good thing for us. Right now, we have to go back to being individuals and open the heart and feeling more. And yeah, so humanity is going through right now a process of, it's like going, to me, it's like going backwards. It's not, what is the word? Honoring nature. We have to go back to nature. We have to go back to feeling. We have to go back to understanding where we are and what things are good for us and what things are not. And everything on the internet or on the phone is not good for you. Some things are amazing and you can use it for a lot of stuff that is great. But don't depend on it. Go back to your own independence, your own way of thinking, your own way to analyzing things. And don't take especially now with the AI, a lot of stuff that you see there is created and it's false, completely false. And you can see it could be anybody. It could be the president. It could be anybody that is saying something that is completely crazy and it's being created because some people want you to believe on something that is completely not true. So we have to be careful about everything that we see on the phone right now and go back to exchanging ideas and analyzing and also what I'm doing right now, for example, with Bruce Lipton in Buenos Aires, the people that got together for this project, we exchanged so many ideas and so many things and so deep that I never imagined that I would find those people in this town at this time. Because you have a bigger contrast right now than when I left. You have very poor, very ignorant people, like 50%. And then you have an elite of maybe 10% of people that really are not in survival mode. And then you have the rest. Okay. But the society in Argentina changed so much that when I came, I said, how can I do this with Bruce Lipton in this country, especially because of the money and the dollar went so high that it's very expensive. And suddenly the people that came into the project, if I have to find them, it's like a needle in a haystack. I couldn't. They came because of another topic that we can talk about, electromagnetic field, and how my intention and what I wanted to experience in my country for the first time in 37 years was completely different. I was open to find somebody, not from my body, but from my ideas and my feelings. And for something that we were talking, which is heart math, heart-brain coherence. When we feel and think the same idea, and then we can monitor that. And when we analyze that and we understand that we are coherent, then we can create a lot of stuff. And this is what is happening right now with this project with Bruce Lipton, that is an amazing doctor, biologist. And if you don't know, to the audience, read The Biology of Belief or La Biología de la Creencia in Spanish. For me, it was a before and after experience. This book changed my life completely, especially my idea about health and disease. And because a little bit of my story, when I was a kid, I was always sick until I was 20 years old. And that book explained exactly why that happened to me.
I think that's worth going into because I think a lot of women and men watch my show too. But I think this is something I think that happens to us. Can you give us that example of you when you were younger and you were always getting sick and why you figured out that you got sick?
My mother was a hypochondriac, and the way she was with me when I was okay, when I was healthy, it was like a sergeant. I was a military kind of thing. I had to be perfect. So as a kid, I'm talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. I wanted to experience my mom the way I felt about my mom, which is unconditional love. Everybody feels that the first 7 years. And suddenly I realized that now, and I'm old after learning a lot of stuff. At that time, I couldn't understand why. I was sick 4 times a year, 15 days each time. So after the whole cycle of elementary and high school, I lost 2 full years of school because I was sick.
2 years.
2 years of school, okay? Then I realized that when I thought about this, I said, my mom changed completely the relationship with me when I was sick. Instead of being this person that I was very strict and everything, she became the mom that I wanted, the mom that I was nurturing and hugged me and cooked the things that I wanted when I was in bed.
Of course.
So I went back. I wanted to go back to those 15 days every year, 4 times, because I felt the love that I wanted when I was not sick. And when I was not sick, she lost that, and I couldn't have the mother that I wanted. So imagine that.
how powerful the subconscious is to actually create illness to get our needs met. I want everybody to get that for a second. That is so powerful. We
Oh,
do that every day, all the time. So many of us have, we all do actually, have something that is pulling us or causes things to happen in our body subconsciously to get our needs met that we don't even realize.
yeah. And the good thing is, if you really want to change, you can do it today with all the information that we have. We have so much information about science and spirituality that right now they complement each other. It's not 20 years ago that one was in contrast with the other one. So if you were a scientist, you couldn't be a spiritual. If you were a spiritual, you couldn't be a scientist. No, right now they work together. And I believe that all the things that I read, the biology of belief and many other things, documentaries and The Course in Miracles, another amazing book
Yes, I love
that
that.
changes the way you think, that changes the way you see the world, the perception of the world. When you have all those elements and you use them instead of keeping them in an intellectual way in your brain, and when you use those elements, those new rules, your life starts to change in a way that you could say before it was a miraculous thing. It's not. And you can say that it was something that is, what is the word? Um, when you feel that something happened to you because it was, oh man, luck, that you were lucky. No, no, luck doesn't exist. You're not lucky. You're creating all the time. Some things you love, some things you hate. But if you hate it, think as yourself as a creator. Okay. You created that you hate because it's your perception. Okay. Now, when you read the book, The Course in Miracles, you can see that being lucky is being a creator of things that you really want in your life to show up. And when you are in this state of mind of being heart and brain coherent, now you can bring into your life that, because actually when they work together, you send to the environment, to the world, a signal like a radio station that brings only the same thing that you're emanating. So the thing is, you have to think about what is it that I am emanating from myself? What is the emotion that I'm feeling all the time, or most of the time? The emotion is the anchor. If I'm with you right now and I feel that I don't want to be here and I'm still here, I know this is an emotion that is telling me, go home, don't stay here. And my brain can say, no, stay. That's incoherence.
Oh, wow.
See, stay.
And we do that all the time.
All the time, especially when we try to fit into something, a group of people, a job, whatever it is.
I imagine that applies to habits too, as well. Like habits,
Well,
things like that we say, oh, I shouldn't do that. Or the soul body knows that this isn't good for us, or that we maybe are needing to take something out of fear or out of just feeling like we resist that. So that's when the heart, and I know for those of you who've done, a lot of people that watch us have done Dr. Joe Dispenza's events where he talks about heart brain coherence,
yeah,
where you're basically the feeling you're having and the thought that you're thinking, they need to actually be aligned. Is that basically right?
exactly. When it's aligned, it's like the radio station sends just one signal. Let's say this. I feel something, I think something else, and I say something else, and I do something else. I have 4 radio stations, 4 different frequencies.
For radio stations.
Exactly. So I'm emanating that, and I'm going to receive the one that is the longest sending the signal.
Oh, that's interesting.
See, because actually it's not equal. You have 4 things. Okay. So those 4 radios, one of them is staying broadcasting longer than the others. Okay. So that's the result of your life. Okay. So the thing is, you have to be aware of the signal that you're emanating based on the feeling that you feel. So emotions are so important. And they're so important also for epigenetics. That's the thing that Bruce Lipton talks about. And that blew me away. If you feel something that is related to fear, and that's also A Course in Miracles, and all the degrees of fear, the chemicals, because of epigenetics, the chemicals that your body creates is a chemical of disease. Cortisol, adrenaline, those are things that we create when we are in a state of survival. So when we feel fear or anything else. Now, if you feel love, the chemical reactions are pro-life. It keeps you healthy. Oxytocin, that kind of stuff. So it's a completely different chemical reaction. Now, 30 years ago, we didn't know this. And because we didn't know that, we thought that disease was something that we were victims of the disease, of being sick,
Genetic, or my parents had it, or
hereditary, whatever. Okay. The thing is this: no, the disease is something that's showing us that we are doing something wrong. It's a teacher, actually.
yes.
And when you see people with an instant, when they change, for example, like Anita Murjani, that had cancer, terminal cancer when she was 36 years old, and she had a lymphoma level 4. She was dying. She went into coma, and for 18 hours, she comes back from the coma and she said, I'm fine. 2 months later, she has nothing. And I interviewed her twice, and she showed me 2 scars right here that didn't close well when she was sick, because he had pus coming out, and the whole body was full of tumors the size of lemons. In 2 months, it went away because she changed the perception of her own life and herself. She thought that she was a bad daughter because actually she didn't accept the husband that her father chose for her, because she was from India, but she was living in Hong Kong. But her father said, okay, now you have to marry, and she has to marry this guy. And she was in Hong Kong. She was a Chinese woman at that time. And she said, I cannot do that. So in Indian culture, that was a major insult to her father. 2 years later, when she stopped the ceremony, and she said 2 days before getting married, she said, no way, I cannot marry this guy. I don't love her and don't love him. And her father died.
Oh, geez.
And when her father died, she got cancer immediately.
Because she must have made it mean something to guilt, and all that guilt welled up and created her disease.
And guilt is very low in the consciousness level of vibration. Okay, it's maybe 30 hertz. Love is 500 hertz. So
there's a great chart, and maybe I'll put a link in the description of the David Hawkins chart of energy. Is it energy? Or
no, it's the
map of consciousness. And so it has all these different frequencies. And so the lower one, he's saying, is guilt is one of the lowest. And
shame.
Shame,
guilt, then.
So these frequencies are so low that they vibrate. And again, Dr. Dispenza talks about this to some extent, but then the highest one is love at 500.
No, the highest one is illumination of 1,000 or plus.
Okay, but that's not so.
That's Paramahansa Yogananda and the Buddha, people that already
are enlightened.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. Our level of consciousness should be in 500 hertz, which is love. When you're in love, the whole thing changes. Not only the internal environment, which is your chemical reactions, but also the external world. It's a different world. We have to understand that we see something that is not real. Okay, reality actually is based on, if you understand what you are, what I am, we have a vehicle that we call body, and the vehicle has 5 apps, the senses.
5 apps, like a phone.
Exactly. It's the same thing.
I love this, and I love the way you describe this. It's so good.
It's easy to understand.
Yes.
So the vehicle has 5 apps, and those 5 apps have limitations, and they show us a reality, which is not real, but it's a representation of that. Now, in order to understand exactly how minimum is that reality of those 5 apps, it's like 1 grain of sand against the Empire State. That's the relationship. We almost don't see anything about the whole spectrum of frequencies, just a little tiny thing. And out of that, we want to make a representation of life and say, oh, life is like this. No. Life is an experience for us as souls that are inside a vehicle, which is the body, and the experience is what the soul is asking for, because experience is in a different vibration, is not in the dual tridimensional world, is in the absolute world, and it has no contrast. Now, in no contrast, it's amazing, it's all light, everything. Suddenly, we want to have a contrast, and we have to go into a different experience, which is the vehicle, and it has something that anchors the vehicle, which is the emotion. And the emotion goes into these levels of consciousness. So how long are you in your heart? How long are you in your gut? Because when you feel fear, you're in your gut, not in your heart.
So gut is like intuition? Or is it?
It could be intuition. It could be actually intuition. I don't feel it here. I feel it in the solar plexus.
Okay.
And actually, intuition is something that it demands a different state of mind and also the vibration, the brain vibration.
Mm-hmm.
For example, intuition will come to you when you are in theta waves, which is between 4 and 7 hertz. Why? Because the monkey that's jumping all the time is on the side sleeping, and you breathe less times per minute, and breathing is very important for this. And then you can go into what they call samadhi, which is deep meditation. But actually, before samadhi, you are in theta waves. And theta waves is when we can be in touch with emotions and intuition and the quantum field. Now, how can we use that? When you are in that state, that we can measure it on heart math.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this device right here.
We see the screen, and you can put a screen so they can see.
Show it. Yeah, this is an amazing device. So real quick, I want to pause. When I did the Joe Dispenza events, and a lot of you have done these things, or you're familiar with this, is they always say your heart and brain need to be on coherence.
Yeah.
And so we go, okay, so we meditate and we go, okay, I'm hoping that this, because Joe talks about the heart is the magnet, and then the pineal gland is in the brain is the radio frequency that's going out and sending the frequency. So you want coherence with the heart and with the brain to send out the frequency. But then I was always like going, how do you know? How do you know? This device, I'm gonna put a link in here in the show notes. This thing actually shows you that you are.
Yeah.
This blew my mind when you showed me this at your house a couple months ago. It's my word one.
Yes, it's an amazing tool because actually it gives you a visual what you feel. And when you see and you feel, you learn faster.
Yeah.
Because it's much deeper and it moves you in a different way. So you save a lot of time when you do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, when you are in this theta waves, you can see it on the screen in a sine wave instead of jerky wave like heartbeat. You can see the sine wave. When you see the sine wave and you can see that you're coherent because the software is showing you, that moment you have to remember how it feels because you can see it and you can feel it. So you can relate to that. And then you can do it anytime, any day. When you are in that state, which is theta waves, 4 to 7 hertz, which is pretty low, but you are aware, you're awakened, and you're not you're not sleeping, is before getting into sleep mode. You can ask the question that you want an answer, or you can imagine whatever you want to experience in this lifetime, at this moment, present moment, which is the only time that we have. But we are always living between future and past and going back and forth, and we lose the present time. When you're in theta, you can be in the present time and you can ask the question that you want to have a solution for a problem that you want to fix right now or something that you want to create. That's the way Tesla created 700 patents. And all the patents that he created, he created that from questions. So there's something that says the quality of your life depends on the quality of your question. It's true.
It's true. It's just when you ask it. It's more impactful because I think if we ask the question when we're stressed, we're going to get a stress response, and it's going to be the ego responding out of fear, and it's going to be a very low grade answer that's going to be save your ass right now, because it's not going to be that higher tapping into the Tesla like answer that's going to be profound and really transform your life. Exactly. I love that because a lot of times we're falling asleep to the TV. I never do that, maybe a little bit. And taking that last moment right before you fall asleep to ask the questions that you want to know the answer to, or what do you want to create? That's powerful. I heard Einstein, he actually slept in 30-minute intervals? Right? So he was always waking up and falling asleep. And I know if I get poor sleep in any given day, I'm very emotional and I don't feel totally with it. But my brain seems to be, it sounds weird, but I almost seem to have more creativity in those days where I'm not totally coherent I didn't get a lot of sleep. I wonder if there's some kind of correlation where we're in this quasi theta when we're in that zone of not being awake. Is it going to happen in the morning too, as we're waking up?
It's not that it happened. You can create that moment. If you wake up in the morning and the first thing that you do is go into coherence and you think about the things that you want to change in your life or to show up in your life or to improve, is a good time because actually you just woke up and you have all this energy. Okay. Now, if you do this, the first thing and the last thing at night, the last thing is the most important one because when you go to sleep, and you put that information in your brain, your subconscious mind is working the whole night. Not the consciousness, but the subconscious. And the subconscious is like the radio station that is sending the signal of the question that you're asking yourself. Now, the question could be a victim question or a creator question.
Oh, I love that. Let's talk about the difference. Give us an example of a victim question, a creator question.
Why is this happening always to me? That's a victim. See? And it's a closed question. It's not an open question. I can tell you 100 things that can assure that's true. Okay? Yeah, you are there because of this, and it's not a solution in that answer.
Yeah.
There's no solution. It's victimizing you more.
Yeah.
It's, oh, see, I'm a victim because see what happens. Okay, that's the ego that is need.
Yeah, because the subconscious goes in and will prove you right. It will look for every example of when it happened to you before and say, see, this always happens to you. Whenever you get the always, the never, those kinds of phrases always are just, or will actually shut it down.
Exactly. Well, so the thing is, when you do that, the ego feels amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
The ego is food for the ego because the ego goes, see, I told you. But the problem with that is that you are not a creator when you are in that state of mind. And we are creators. And also, the voice that comes from, the information that comes from the quantum field is very soft, actually. So in the noise of life, from a victim point of view, you cannot hear it. There's no way. There's no way. Too much noise. So you have to calm down. You have to go down. You have to understand where you are. And then ask an open question. How can I? What should I do? What can I do? An open question that when you receive the answer, you can use it in the next step to move forward, whatever you want to achieve or create or do.
So creator questions. And then I'm thinking to myself, how can someone, if they don't have it, they don't think about it right away, or if they're in a stressful moment, what can someone do immediately to say, I need to tap in? What's a tip to get from that victim question? Right. If I'm saying, oh my God, I'm stressed out, I need to calm down. I need to ask a better question. How can I quickly change my feeling, where I am energetically to get in that space? How do you do it?
Breathing is one of the first things that you have to do. Breathing with your belly, deep breathing, close your eyes. If you don't know how to meditate, doesn't matter. Calm down your brain, go into theta waves. Then you can start changing things in your life or bringing new things into your, we are creating all the time. That's one of the things that we have to understand. Nothing happened to us. We are the creators because actually we put the radio station. We are sending the signal all the time. There's no way that you can stop those signals. They are coming and going to the ether and to the quantum field, but actually you are not aware of the polarity of where you are sending, the hertz that you're sending. The lower the hertz, the lower the experience, the more victimized you are. So that's the problem that we have right now because everybody is in fear. Since COVID, when it happened, everybody was in so much fear that some people didn't know what to do. They had 5 vaccines or this or that. And I said, wait a minute, there's not even a debate about this. This is dogma. I'm not saying it doesn't.
No, I agree.
I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but not at the level they promote it.
Yeah.
Okay. The promotion of that was huge, and the level of fear was immense. And the problem, we're completely controlled by a situation that didn't deserve so much power. Didn't deserve it at all.
I agree with you. I think we went through this phase where we were literally controlled, and we followed. And I think that the scariest part was I was here in Argentina when it first happened. And I remember hearing, we're going to be shut down for 2 weeks. You have to be in your house for 2 weeks. And I remember everyone went, 2 weeks? Are you crazy?
Right.
And yeah, little did we know it was going to be that long.
Right.
And I think had we have known that it was going to be that long, people would have just fought, right?
Yeah, you
still upset. We were so upset. That's what I'm saying. It's like that. They always talk about the study they did where they had the fleas in the jar. And they put the lid on it and the fleas jump. They jump really high. They can jump up to 3 or 4 feet, they say sometimes. And so they were, I don't know, that, but whatever. So they were jumping and they were hitting the top of the lid. And so they stopped jumping. They knew how far they could jump without it hitting. And so they took the lid off and they kept jumping that small amount. So I think we became conditioned that this is what we do. And I think it just was like, oh, 2 more weeks. Okay, at least 2 more weeks. Maybe it's only 2 more weeks. And the concern is let's look at that as a model, is how do we live our lives like that in so many other areas that it's not as apparent. And it's scary because we listen to what's being said to us. We live in fear, and we live in the space of what Tony Robbins calls quality problems versus safe problems, and things like, oh, my flood in my house today, that was terrible. And my whole life is consumed by this fact that I'm having this little flood issue. Or it's the creator space. What can I create? What can I do? What else can I do? What else can I create? Which is I don't know what to create. How can I do it? That's a creative problem.
Well, you have to give space.
I don't know what to do. I should say tell me how to replace
space to your brain, because creation, we have 2 different ways to live. The frontal lobe, which can do one thing at a time.
The prefrontal cortex, 5% of our brain. That's all that's conscious.
And the subconscious mind, which is 1 million times stronger. Okay. Imagine right now your body, what's going on in your body when you have your breathing and the oxygen goes into your veins and your blood and your brain has it. You don't think about it. The body is doing it by itself because of the subconscious mind. Okay. So the subconscious mind is amazing. The problem is that we try to control the subconscious mind with thoughts that makes us feel bad, victims or negative, and we lose the power that we have to create whatever we really want in our lives, not what we don't want. The problem is this: when you have a thought that is, you're in the wrong frequency, it's like let's say that you want to listen to classical music, but you change the dial and you put accidentally rap music. Who put the dial into that frequency? You. Okay. What do we do when that happens in real life? We criticize the rap music because we wanted to listen to classical music. Now, why am I criticizing something that I don't want to experience in my life and that I put myself into? Instead of doing that, you change the frequency, change the radio.
Yeah.
Because there's another radio that will play classical music. You don't need to be in the rap music radio station. It's up to you, not to the station. And another thing is, if you criticize that, free will it gives that the possibility to exist.
Yes.
So you're negating free will. No, you have free will and they have free will and everybody has free will. The problem is that we put together these groups of people that exchange these ideas and bring these same feelings. So those are the groups that when you have an AAA or whatever it is, AA, whatever it is, all these groups, and they talk about all these issues, but nobody's telling them, okay, those issues happen and you suffer those things. Now, how can we change this instead of just talking about this all the time and going through the same experience that you don't want? We know that happened to you. Now, are you the creator of that or the victim? When you see that you're the creator, now you are driving the vehicle. Okay. Otherwise, the vehicle is driving by itself. It's driving by itself and it's giving you experiences or places. You're going to places that you don't want to be or to experience, to places that for you don't mean anything or actually means something negative and you cannot enjoy it. Life's supposed to be something for us to enjoy. The soul didn't come here to suffer at all. This is something that we have as a heritage that we have. We should be living like Bruce Lipton said, heaven on earth.
Yes.
And we are not. And we are not because actually we lost the way of the creation of our reality. The reality comes to us instead of being a creation. And sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's not. So we are living in this pendulum going back and forth. And the main thing about that contrast, and I think we talked about this before, I thought always about the pendulum like being negative and positive, so completely opposite. They are complementary. Everything that happens in the negative side is giving me information to improve my positive side. I know something here. I'm learning something on the negative side that is going to be good for me to go into my life on the positive things that I want to create. I need the contrast. I need it. If I don't have contrast, life will be so boring that we wouldn't do anything. Apathy, that kind of stuff. The thing that really brings this movement toward things that we want to experience is the contrast. The thing is entropy. That's the word in science. Entropy is essential for biology, inside you and also outside in the world. Without entropy, but there's a level of entropy. Of course, if you're in the war, that's the maximum level of entropy. Okay. If you're in a war zone, it's terrible. Even though being there, and you can see examples of people in the Holocaust, that out of that, they created an amazing life when they survived that experience. Even though it was extremely negative, they suffer things that we cannot even imagine, not even watching the movies or the pictures of what happened. But even though that experience is so extreme into the things that makes us feel really bad, it was positive for a lot of people. So it's not the environment that is driving you, it's the perception of the environment. Did you see the movie?
Perception of the environment.
Exactly. Did you see the movie Life is Beautiful from the Italian guy?
No.
Oh, it's an amazing movie, and it's in one of the concentration camps.
Okay.
No, when you see that movie, you say, oh my God, this guy saw exactly the reality of what happened. He saw everything, and he's telling his son when he goes into a Holocaust, into a concentration camp, that it was a game.
Oh.
And the kid never lived the situation as a victim or as a terrible situation. He lived the whole thing as a game. At the end, when he finishes, the kid gets together again with his mother, and the father dies. But the kid never lived the war.
He lived it as his perception, because he was living, his perception was that it was a game. So he was feeling it like it wasn't real. So he didn't have the feeling or the traumatic experience that others did, because it was through those rose-colored glasses, the lenses that he was seeing it in.
For him, no, it was not tragedy.
Experience. It wasn't tragedy.
It was no tragedy.
Boy, we did that on so many ways. What about entropy with people there are those that came out and had a beautiful life? What about those that aren't able to get out of that side of the pendulum? Because it happens in all of our lives. Sometimes we get so stuck for so long. Why do some can swing the other way? And why do some get stuck and they can't get out? And what can they do about it?
I think got different families where the parents, a group of people where they grew up, they had more positive ideas about life. That comes from the first 7 years of life, when you don't know who you are and you are learning life from your environment, especially your mother is the first one. Give information. No? Those are the things that got embedded in your subconscious mind that are going to be the rules in your life that you're going to use for understanding life. The belief that you have is based on those beliefs that somebody puts in your head. And those people that use such an extreme experience of negativity and victimization, they had this information inside so they could shift and see the other side and understand that it was more important for them to be still alive than the experience of extreme negativity. It says, wow, I'm still alive. Now I can live a completely different experience. And they did. Mm-hmm. See? So that was an amazing thing. But if you don't have those ideas embedded in your subconscious mind, because you were in a family like mine, that my mother was very negative and very religious, and I had to really modify myself to feel unconditional love coming back to me. For me, the Holocaust will be my end.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I survive, I will be angry, sad, and have all the negative experiences I could, because I had my mind thinking that way. I won't be able to see the other side of the entropy. Okay. And a lot of people cannot do that right now.
So how can we, what are some tips of what we can do to feel good? I know I love Esther Abraham Hicks and how she talks about just feeling good, finding a good feeling, a feeling that's going to live in that space, because that's where we're constantly. Sometimes that's an oversimplified version or way to say it.
Yeah, sometimes.
But for the viewers who are not into this as much or don't understand all of this yet, is that just find that good feeling all the time? Or what are some tips that they can do to?
Yeah, sometimes she's a little too much with that idea. For some people, go to a place where you feel good. Yeah, for some people, it's very difficult because actually they have this embedded and they see the world as a tragic place. I think you have to do little steps. For example, when we saw, what was it, the major book, the one that was very famous about this creating your reality. What was the name?
Course in Miracles?
No, the movie was, it was a movie that was a major hit. That Esther Hicks was there and everybody
It
was
was a
there.
secret.
The Secret. The Secret talks about this, but it talks also in a way that is very simplistic. Okay. It's not that if you think about $1 million, you are going to manifest that, even though you can feel it, it's not going to show up in your life because actually that's a major quantum leap from where you are to where you want to be. If you don't have any money right now and you are in survival mode, $1 million for you is completely crazy. You cannot even imagine that. So trying to push yourself to think that about that and to feel that is in your reality is ridiculous because actually, you're not buying it. Your radio station doesn't have any power.
Okay. So we skipped over the 5 apps of our body. And I think this is probably a good time to bring it back in because that's really what we're saying is that you said the strongest frequency of those is the one that's going to be sent out.
Yeah, but it's related to your perception, the way all the things that you have in your head, because actually you are creating that. You are the creator of that. And you have to put yourself into changing that vibration, let's say it that way. But the point is this, if you are in survival mode, the main thing that you have to do is the first step. Okay, imagine that you want to manifest a cup of coffee, something that is easier for you, or a phone call from a friend that you're thinking about, or something that will give you steps into believing that is possible. Because when you believe that it's possible, now your energy is like more energy to the frequency.
Mhm.
See, it's not a local radio station. It's a radio station that can go further and further. So the thing is, okay, if I want to connect with the quantum field, how much power my radio station has to have? That's the point here. So a lot of power, okay? A lot of power because you have to go through the ego and all the stuff that is going on in your environment, and then maybe you will reach it. Okay, for that, you need a radio station, one of the best radio stations in your radio, okay? How can you put so much power? Coherence, the feeling of love, and understanding that what you want is something that is good for you, for everybody else, and for the environment. That's a real creation. That's the creation that we can call creation. When one of those 3 is not in the equation, it's more an ego kind of thing than a real creation. Real creation doesn't put anybody out of the equation. Nothing. When Tesla created all the things that he created, all of them were good for him, for everybody else, and also for nature, for the environment. And that's amazing. And we don't see that very often right now.
No. And so I think manifestation and this whole topic is so big. And that's something I haven't heard really described quite that way before is this idea of what we manifest has to be good for me, others, and the environment.
That's an equation that is always work.
So if I say I want this, but it's going to take something away from someone else, then that's ego and it's not.
Yeah, power. And every time that you talk about, there's a book called Power versus, what is it? Power versus Energy from Hawking.
Mm-hmm.
Power versus
I think
energy.
I have that one. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Because actually power means the body trying to conquer, and the body cannot create anything. The body creates situations, emotions, experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Your car doesn't create anything more than an experience. And it depends on you where you want to go with your car. You can go from here to Mar del Plata and it will be amazing. Then you reach Mar del Plata and you park the car and you walk on the beach. The experience of the beach depends on the car that you drove to Mar del Plata.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But you're not the car.
I'm not the car. That's right.
That's a vehicle.
Yes.
body is a car.
That's right. The Earth suit, and like how scientists need, or I'm sorry, astronauts need spacesuits to walk on the moon. We need Earth suits to live on
Yeah, we see
planet.
with 5 apps that allows you
Five
to see, smell, touch, feel this environment in a way that we believe is true. But if you are in the fourth dimension, all this disappears. There's a
All
woman,
this what disappears?
everything that we see here right now disappears completely
Okay.
because there's no time and space. It's all at the present time. We don't live in present moment. We live in future and past. Very few moments when you are in coherence asking the question is the present time.
Okay. I love that. I love that we're here in the
Present time is the place of creation, but you can create in present time completely asleep, or you can create completely awake. So the thing is, the majority of the things that we create are in this, as we are asleep actually, and it's a result of the environment, of the contrast of the environment and the perceptions that we have in our heads. This is good, this is bad, it doesn't matter. Reality actually is neutral. The point is we put the adjectives on reality and based on the things that we have in the subconscious mind. How we understand the reality is the rules that we have in the head. Now, those rules, can we change at the end? Those are habits, and we can change habits, 28 days, repetition, all this stuff. Dispenza talks about that. But there's so many other things that we have to really think about. Creation is something that we all have. And one of the things that I realized lately is that when somebody doesn't understand why is here in the third dimension, we are losing a creation.
Oh, I see. I get it. So
Everybody
right.
has something to bring for the good of everybody.
So when it's like having a team of the
And somebody's lost.
players, and not someone is off the field because they're injured and they don't replace the player. You're playing with a less number of people.
Exactly.
On the team. But you're still having to feed them, put them on the bus, and drive them back and forth to the hotel. So they have this whole thing where they still have to be taken care of because they're part of the team, but they're not contributing to the greater good.
They can't.
Of humanity.
Yeah, they can't. So we all lose. That's why it's so important that everybody is into this as a creator, because a real creator won't put you on the side of ignore you. You will be part of that equation, that creation, whatever this person came into this lifetime to do. When that person is doing it, it favors everybody.
Right. It favors everybody. So when we have such division in our society today, all around the world in different ways, we're shooting out or we're against our own team members, because essentially we're all, as I understand it, we're all one. We're all the same. We're all created by God, the divine. And we're basically saying we're dissing our own team members. So it's to our advantage to actually uplift and not destroy and to talk down or to be against them.
There's an analogy that I love. We as souls come from a quantum field that is light. Okay. Now, the third dimension is a filter. And when light touches the third dimension, it becomes colors. We are the colors. Okay. But when we are all together, we are the light because of the source.
Yes.
So the thing is, when you see that, you see the importance of everybody.
Yes.
You cannot put anybody aside because the equation doesn't allow you to do that. It's insane to do that. It's really insane.
So it really behooves us to elevate ourselves so that we can truly love and appreciate everyone as they are and see them as one and see them as the same. Because I remember Wayne Dyer did an interview a while back. Not a while back, but I was listening to one where he's talking about Mother Teresa and asking her, how can you work with all these people that are suffering and going through all this and people that are creating problems in the world? And and she said, I see them as Jesus in all of his distressing disguises.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really beautiful way to say it, because it's this, we're all wearing these suits, we're acting a certain way with the apps that we've been given and the instruction manual that we think we have on how to operate it.
The instruction manual, it could be of, a blender or a vacuum cleaner, but not for understanding a human being. It's completely false. It's being manipulated. And right now we have to go back to the source. We have to understand what we are, why we are here, and look for the mission that each one of us has. We have a mission in this lifetime. Otherwise, we are going to come back And the cycle is going to be eternal if you don't do that. In my case, what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, tell us what your mission is and what you hope to see for the future for humanity and for yourself.
For me, as after all these years of going into science and spirituality, working with Bruce and other scientists, and my own journey with Paramahansa Yogananda, Kriya Yoga, and learning and practicing and understanding how that changed me to become a better person. I think we are in a moment where this is like a tipping point where humanity can go one side or the other. And my concern actually is Latin America, because I'm from Argentina. So everything that I learned in the United States, I want to apply in Latin America. So that's why, and everything that I learned in the entertainment industry, music and video production, all the stuff, I'm not doing that anymore, but I'm doing educational entertainment. I think it's the best entertainment because actually you are enjoying it, but you're learning something that you can apply in your life and you can see the changes. So it's a perfect job for me right now as a job. It's not a job, but anyway. So what I'm doing with Bruce, what I'm doing is bringing that information that I know that is so important in the United States is pretty common, but not in Latin America. So I believe that the next generation of CEOs, politicians, doctors need to know this information so we don't repeat the same mistakes that we've been doing in Latin America for so long. Another thing that I think, and thinking a little bigger, my vision is that Latin America at some point is going to be united as a continent.
Mm-hmm.
And as a continent, there's something happening right now. I don't know, many people don't know this, are not aware of this, the Agenda 2030. Agenda 2030 is something that is very bad for humanity. It's like the Hunger Games movie, something like that. And everybody please go into the internet and look for the comments about Agenda 2030, not from Davos or the World Forum no, from independents. And then you will know what's the program that they created for us. So when you see that, you say, okay, this is a moment where Latin America can become a unit in the world that will be separated from Europe. It's completely lost right now, and part of Asia. And I envision Latin America as one new way of living separated from the rest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why? Because it has less people than any other place in the world, and it has all the resources it needs.
True.
So if we in Latin America use those resources the right way with these ideas of Tesla and Einstein and Royal Rife and all these people that brought this information from the quantum field for everybody, it's going to be heaven on earth. That's it.
I love that. I love that. It's when I first met you, before I met you, and why I looked you up, as I said, with Bruce and seeing him coming, I had this passion or had this idea to have a summit here and bring speakers down because I felt the same thing. I said, gosh, we are richly blessed in the US with, in a lot of the Western countries with so much knowledge, information, people like Bruce Lipton, so much content available in English and speakers that are just coming out of nowhere. We are just satiated with what can happen. There's no reason any of us should not be successful or have an incredible spiritual journey and experience in these places. But then I saw here and living here 14 years, it's just seeing it's this fertile land of people just starving, hungry, wanting more and wanting a better life. And so for 2 years, I had this vision at a Dr. Joe Dispenza event and I wrote it down. I kept adding to it and I wanted to bring all these speakers here. And then I saw this and I looked him up and I said, here he's doing it. And I said, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is how this happens. And
that was your radio station.
It was my radio station. It was my radio station. And I think where I got frustrated is there were times when it was divinely, pieces were coming in to play, but then I would get scared because my ego said, who do you think you are, Jill Collins? You can't do that. Oh. And I said, okay. So I put that little notebook down. I kept adding to it and I'd put it away and I'd say it to someone, mention it. And someone would say, I know somebody who could do that. And I'd add the piece to the puzzle. And then I put it away again. And when I saw Jorge and I sent him that note, I realized it doesn't have to be me doing it, but it was just seeing that it's being done and it's happening.
And you can do it as well.
Yes, but it was just such a beautiful thing. I just saw where the thing that I think is so profound for me is I didn't have to do any work. It was like there's no heavy lifting. As you said, when you created this
flow,
it was flow. And when you said this team came together and you came up with this and you wanted to do this, everything just started to come to you. It's just, this is the idea of manifesting. It's not, I want a cup of coffee, I want $1 million. It was just this idea. And as soon as I almost let it go, and I didn't like release it and say, I don't want to do it, but I just said, I don't know how to do this. And I just put it away. And it allowed itself to, I guess things just started to come in without me trying to figure out because I'm very organized. I'm like, who do I need? Let's create some lists. Who do we need to talk to? What kind of media do we need? I'm like in the spreadsheet trip planning idea. And I said, oh, this is bigger than me. I can't do this. And so I put it away. And then here you showed up and you've taught me so much already, my friend, about just letting things flow. And how did it happen with this? You just basically, with Burst, you said, how did it start?
When I finished reading the book, it blew me away so much that I went to the website and I was checking, and it was all in English, and there was nothing in Spanish. And I saw one PDF that was called The Intelligence of the Cells, and I downloaded. And
The Intelligence of the Cells?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Intelligence of the Cell. And I downloaded, I read it, and it was beautiful. And I translated it into Spanish, and I sent it to the secretary. And I said, listen, you don't have anything in Spanish. You should, because this is very important for Latin America. And she said, thank you so much for that. I said, I would like to interview Dr. Lipton. Oh, no, he's traveling, blah, blah, blah. So the thing is, I check on the website, and it was, let's say, today is Thursday. Tomorrow, Friday, he was going to be in San Francisco with Rob Williams, the creator of Psyche, and a workshop that was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I took a plane first thing in the morning. I went to the hotel. I was there like 8 o'clock. And I was waiting in the lobby, and I saw Lipton coming in. I introduced myself, and I said, listen, I talked to, the name was Sally. He was the secretary. Now she's not working with him anymore. I said, I talked to Sally, and I sent her. I read your book. It blew me away. And I downloaded The Intelligence of the Cell. I translated it into Spanish, and I sent it to Sally. He looked at me like I was a Martian. I was an alien. And I said, thank you. And I said, the only thing I want is to do an interview for Latin America, because I can translate it into Spanish. And then I sent it to my website at that time. It was creatingyourlife.com. And
you have since translated every one of his books and
everything,
all of his contents in Spanish, thanks to this.
Every presentation, every PowerPoint, when he goes into Latin America, he sent it to me. Oh, Spain. Now he's going to Barcelona. He sent me also the PowerPoint to see if it's good in Spanish. And sometimes I have to change things. He's my brother, so I love him. I was saying something.
Going back to you were saying how you met him up with him and
and he said to me,
you're an Martian.
He said to me, yeah, but I have to do this until 6 o'clock. What time are you going back to Los Angeles? The last flight of tonight. And he said, no problem. At 6, we sit down and talk. And we talked for 2 hours. He invited me to lunch. He invited me to a workshop. He introduced me with a lot of people that I didn't know. And it was amazing. One thing that really hit me on that workshop, there were maybe 60 people. All of them came out of terminal diseases, and they got cured because of epigenetics.
Amazing.
And cases, I'm talking about terminal cases, cancer in the liver, pancreas. Today, you can fix that. Brain tumors, different things, eyes, different things. And when the whole thing started, Bruce said, I want to know, all of you, why you came here. I said, oh my God, this is going to be so boring. It was the most enlightening thing that I ever heard in my life. 60 people telling their cases and how the diagnosis and the prognosis and everything. And they were there 12 years later when they had prognosis of 6 months or 3 months or 2 months. So for me, it was before and after.
To see that contrast, because it's so powerful to see people heal from things that we think are, like you said, with the example earlier of the woman who was just came out of it and was in coma and came out and she was fine 2 months later when she was tested. And I love that. Because it's so true that we have the ability to heal our bodies. Dr. Joe Dispenza says our bodies are a pharmacy of everything we need to heal. Yeah. And it's a lab. And I also want to say you do a lot of work with veterans, combat veterans.
Because actually it's one thing that happened when I'm working with frequency because of music, my background in music. I work with frequencies, and there's different frequencies for different problems. And the veterans, they have a problem, which is when they are almost at the point of leaving the body. If they are religious, they believe that they're going to go to hell, and they're getting to panic mode. So I was working with frequencies and also guided meditations, and we put together a program, and they relieve, and the relief was like 80%. So they were afraid, but they could handle it. They could understand that they were going to a better place, and blah, 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 that the heaven and earth, heaven and hell is this, that we live here. There's nothing else outside this reality. There's no hell, actually. We are in hell right now with all the wars and all this stuff. That's hell, actually. And we were in hell several times in history. The Holocaust was hell. Don't believe that there's something else that is going to be worse than that. That's the worst thing that we already lived. The thing is, understanding frequencies is very important, because actually everything is a frequency. There was something that I wanted to tell before when I talk about Anita Moorjani. There's a neurologist called, what's her name? Jill, like you, Jill. I don't remember now the name, but if you put it on TED, there's a beautiful presentation that she had. I don't remember the last name, but she's a neurologist, and she is in her house and is doing some exercise in a treadmill, and suddenly she feels an acute pain on the left side of the brain, the logic side. And because she was a neurologist, she understood that it could be a hemorrhage, like
A stroke?
a stroke. And she said, wow, I'm having a stroke. And I said, this is amazing, because now I can study myself.
What?
So she's very funny. And she relates, and she was explaining what happened to her. Okay. And it's amazing. You have to go, you have to check it. I will look at it and I will tell you the name. And the thing that happened is the hemorrhage was growing. And the moment it was growing, it was taking more space and killing more connections in the left brain. She went into the shower, and she's taking the shower, and she explains this. The left brain was shutting down and coming back on and off, on and off. And the right brain was driving the whole thing sometimes, and sometimes not.
Compensating for the left.
Exactly. The problem is that she called the right brain Lavan, or Nirvana. And the left brain, it was the logic part. It was the part that was saying, you're having a stroke, make a phone call, blah, blah, blah. And suddenly, bland, Nirvana, land, it was shut down. And now she was only on the right brain. And the drops of water went through her body, and the walls in the bathroom disappeared. And she became huge, and she saw everything. And suddenly, again in the shower, the left brain again was active, on and off. Since then, she knows reality is not real. It's a representation of both brains that connect to each other, and they bring information about different things. And that's the way we construct reality.
Yeah.
But it's a construction.
It's a construction.
It's a construction.
It's the way that you might say you see something a certain way.
Yeah.
It's why two children grow up in the same household and they have totally different experiences.
Exactly.
It's the person who says, this tastes salty, and I say, no, this really tastes sweet.
Yeah.
It's all these things that are so subjective that are not reality, because they're created based on our perception or on our 5 apps, that way that we have either been conditioned as children to use these apps, or how we are adapting them, or the lens in which we see or feel or taste or touch.
Yeah. The good thing about this story is that we shouldn't be in one side or the other.
Okay.
That we should complement each part of the brain, each hemisphere, and live a life understanding the information that we have, and not believing that is the only thing that happened in the reality. Okay. Understanding that this is a representation, and going back to the anchor, which is the feeling. This representation is giving me what kind of feeling, what kind of emotion. Is an emotion that has high vibration because of the map of consciousness, that's the level of consciousness, or low vibration like anguish or whatever it is. And if I'm in the lower vibration, I know what's going on with me. My life is going to be a mess. I'm not going to enjoy it. So why I want to be in that situation actually
Free will.
is what I have to use. This is not happening to me. I'm creating this even though I'm unconscious of it. I'm put in the wrong radio station, even though I believe that the radio station just happened to be playing whatever is playing and I don't like it, but I'm still here because that's called a habit. And the comfort zone, let's put it that way. And the comfort zone is not comfortable. It could be the worst place to be, but it's comfortable because you know it. The ego knows it.
It's familiar.
Yeah, it's familiar. The ego knows it. So the ego is strong in that comfort zone.
Sure.
See, it's very strong. Now, the ego is necessary, of course. If there's somebody comes in here with a gun, and the ego will tell you cortisol and everything that you need to run or to fight or to do something to save yourself.
Yes.
But those are short periods of time. But right now, your boss is the danger. Your partner is a danger. Life is a danger. The president is a danger. Everything is dangerous. And the world that you see is so bad for you. I mean,
that we get I think our lives today, we play very small. We live in a very small bubble because of all these perceived dangers, that we live, quote unquote, so safe that we don't want to put ourselves out there. We don't want to take risks. We don't want to create.
Exactly.
Because creation is unknown, and unknown is scary because we have so many examples through our lenses today that everything is dangerous.
And you're blocking the right side of your brain. It's working with this one, and the frontal lobe is almost gone.
Got it. Wow.
It's almost gone because it's the reptilian that is working, okay? And the memories.
The memories in the reptilian, that's
exactly.
Live from the past. Yeah.
Exactly. Those are the ones that are in charge right now of the vehicle.
They're surviving.
The vehicle goes into places where the vehicle cannot go, cannot enjoy.
Oh, good. This is great. So the vehicle goes into places it cannot go, and if it goes, it can't enjoy because it's uncomfortable, because it's not safe.
And because the ego is driving you into that.
Yeah.
It's not you that are driving you're not driving the car right now. It's your ego. So the moment that we have both hemispheres and we understand what is coherence, the ego only comes in the moments that you need it. That's it.
Okay.
It doesn't do anything else in your life.
Right.
Because it's important.
Yeah.
It's there for a reason. You cannot close it. You cannot put it aside. Because otherwise you'll be la-la all the time, and people are, it's not a good way to live in this realm of reality. Okay. But the thing is, put it in the right place, so not in the driving seat.
Is the ego the left brain? Or is it?
Usually it's left brain, because actually it's logic and it's giving you ideas of experiences in the past. And because the left brain is more future and past.
Yes.
And the right brain is intuition. It comes right now. Now, both together gives you a better representation of reality. You can enjoy it. You can create things. You can do things. To create, you need the logic part. You need it.
Yes.
Otherwise, what are you going to create? I need all those elements.
People who are just all right brain.
No,
everything's just like.
No, it's not. It's a hippie that is living. Yeah. See, we have those people. What they do with their lives, very little.
Yeah. I think growing up when I was a teenager and young adult, I was with a bunch of people who were meditating, friends of mine, and they always used to joke around and say, I didn't get it. So I was going, I don't know. And they used to say I was the left brain in the group. And that so I grew up believing that I was not creative, and that my skills and my where I would excel is in things that are logical. And so I actually, for a while, stifled my creativity because I thought I wouldn't be good at it, or that it perceived to me, I wouldn't say waste of time. I'm being more literal, like with career choices and lifestyle or whatever. But I learned since that there are many modes of creativity, and it's just, you can create how to create a spreadsheet. It's literally just,
of course.
So I can think it's that, again, we live in these preconceived ideas of how we think life goes, and it stifles us at the end of the day.
I talk about it as the structure. We have a structure, and some people have a more
dominant.
And more fixed structure. That's called neuroplasticity, actually. That's why it's good for everybody to learn a musical instrument.
Yes.
Because a musical instrument creates connection. You have two hemispheres, okay? And each one is independent than the other, from the other. The situation with music, what happens with music, and especially the drums, I'm a drummer, it gives you neuroplasticity, because actually you have to combine these two limbs with these two limbs. You can play these two limbs together, but when you try to connect them, one from the right side to one from the left side is a brand new thing for the brain. You have to create that connection, that synapses. Okay. And that is based on repetition. So if you study, the younger you study that, the music, the better, because actually you have all these connections. So now you can be logical and creative at the same time. And you can understand why you want to create something. It's not just to bring something just for the sake of bringing it. It's because it has a function in yourself and in your family and in your environment. So everybody should learn in school a musical instrument.
I agree. I agree.
Everybody. Because that gives you resilience, that gives you neuroplasticity, and life gives you so many different things that you have to react. And sometimes you have to change the direction where you were going because something happened to you and you have to, for some people, it's very difficult to make the change.
Yes.
Because actually their brain doesn't work that way. They have some idea and they have to change it. They feel like they lost everything. They cannot cope with that information and accommodate the thoughts and things to the change that is in front of them. Okay. Now, in my case, the contrast is something that I can accommodate myself to because actually my life was full of contrast. And at the same time, I have these connections. So if you tell me for example, today, oh, maybe we cannot get together, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not fixing my brain. It's okay. We can do it tomorrow, or we can do it a little later or whatever. And you said, okay, maybe 2:30 instead of 2. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll do something in between.
It's the Buddhist way of not clinging, cravings and aversions. It's not craving anything or clinging to anything. And it's not resisting anything that's happening. It's just to be in equanimous about things that just flow in life.
Yeah.
You just see everything as equal and not as judging the good, bad, the yes, no.
Resistance is something.
Resistance.
Resistance is something that doesn't.
It causes suffering at the end of the day.
It's not resisting, it's choosing, actually. If you resist, when you persist, we know that. But the thing is, why am I resisting something when I can create something instead of this? I can replace it with something that I really want to experience instead of trying to fit into something and I'm resisting that. So again, going back, what is the emotion that I feel when I'm resisting? It's not good for sure. Okay.
Yes.
So it's not creative for sure.
I love that.
That's the anchor. That's the anchor. So we have to go back to things that sound ridiculous. Sometimes it sounds ridiculous, like it's so simple, but it really is. The complication actually is because we are not using the rules the way they were created. We need to go back to the default, okay? Because right now we have so many wrong things programmed in ourselves that our life is not what it was intended for.
Yeah.
It's not. This suffering is like we are creating a novela where everybody is fighting and everybody's dying or killing somebody. Okay, and you are the protagonist. Okay, why are you writing that kind of story?
Because we're writing our own story.
What is it giving to you that is good?
And I think, like I said at the beginning, is as we close out, is I think we get so wrapped up in just autopilot with this, with that, just putting out fires day in and day out, that we don't take the time to even realize we're writing our own story. And then if we do, is that we don't know how to do it, or we're used to, it's challenging because I think a lot of times people say that it's too much work, or I'm too busy. I don't know. I've got to feed my kids. I got to go to work. I got to do these things. And that like I asked earlier, is that 5 minutes or just a few minutes to just totally sit in silence, go in the bathroom. I do that sometimes if I'm with people and I'm a little stressed out. I'll go in the bathroom for a minute. I'll close my eyes and I'll just take those deep breaths and reset. And I'm telling you, coming back, it changes, it shifts everything. Because
you're changing the way of thinking and the ego gets weaker.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why it's important to understand what is the state of coherence. Feel it. Look at it in the screen. Understand the relationship between what you feel and go back whenever you want.
I love that.
It's a learning process. It's like learning anything.
Yeah.
It's another thing that you have to learn. Even though it was part of us, it was lost. We lost it because the environment where we grow up, there's a big difference between people from Asia, for example, and people from Europe and people from the United States. I have clients that come to my studio, and when they are Japanese or Chinese or Taiwanese, a lot of things that I'm talking about with them about about frequencies and energy, they got it immediately because actually they learned that in school.
Interesting.
It's completely different. Okay. Now you get somebody from Europe. It's completely different. It's a different. You have to convince them that actually that exists, and you have to prove it. You have to, because they don't trust you. Okay. Now Asians is in their culture. They have it when they are kids. Anything that you learn when you are a kid is in your brain and is in your subconscious mind. So the good thing will be that everybody learns the right thing when there's a kid. So actually that becomes something that they don't have to think about.
Okay, so I'm thinking about that most people who watch my this channel are midlife. They're in that space. A lot of times people say it's too late for me.
No.
And so give us, as we
No.
close out, give us a tip of something we can do to get on the right path and to start researching and
Yeah.
finding out a way out of this.
We can make a 180-degree change anytime, anywhere.
Mm.
There's no question about that. I'm living proof of that. When I was 30, I made a major change, 180 degrees. And from the ashes, because I were completely down, 3 years later, I learned the language. I got 2 Grammy nominations in the worst music I've done in my whole life. That was the worst style, but I did it so well because I went into the reality of that kind of folk music from Mexico, and I understood and I respected it.
Yeah.
Which is difficult because it was completely out of my
your genre, what you're used to doing.
Completely different.
So you did all that, and then you end up today, you've done all of this, thousands of different documentaries, interviewed thousands of people, and you're in your 70s and you're not done. And that's what I think gives everyone. You're in your 60s, 67. I got the 7.
No, 67. Don't make me older.
70 yet.
Don't make me older.
So we'll have to edit that out. My comment. Oops. Anyway, but so it's not too late. And you are on this mission, as you said, to bring this all to Latin America and to see our.
I'm 67. It's another 180 degrees again. Okay, full circle. But actually, it's not full circle because I'm not going back to Argentina. I'm coming back to Argentina as a different being.
As a different being.
Completely different being. So now I can enjoy it instead of criticizing. No, I can see the best that it has to offer.
Yes. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely?
And I know the contrast. I understand it has a huge contrast, but I see the contrast as an opportunity for me to bring something good.
Yes. And how can we, I love that thinking of in our lives where we don't always have the opportunity to go back, to leave a country, our own home country, and go back to it later. I always see that there's a way to do that within our own lives on a daily basis, on a micro level, is to see our lives new and fresh every day and to contrast and to change it. We have a choice we can make every single day to see it differently.
It's up to you. You put yourself in that situation of not being creative or whatever. The main thing is, what is the emotion that I feel when I'm doing this? And I feel great.
Okay. So we're going to put heart math in here. We're going to let you know about that, how to test to see if you're feeling great, if your coherence, your brain and your heart are in coherence. And final words.
Final words is that it's amazing to be living in this time of such a huge contrast and entropy. If you are in the right side, okay, in the creative side, in the positive side, because it's a lot of work to do. And there's a lot of great emotions that you can create for yourself and for other people. So I believe that for some people, this is the best time, okay? Because actually, if we are creative and we create from the right place, we can see an amazing, miraculous thing. That when you don't have that kind of contrast, you won't see that. This is the moment to bring all this information and to see the results. And for me, that is the most important thing right now.
Yeah. With the goal to have a world that we live in that is peaceful and in harmony.
Yeah. And also to understand that everybody has something to bring. That for me was tough to understand. It was like, oh yeah. For example, the other day we were in a car and we came from Puerto Madero, and then contrast is huge. Retiro is,
yes, of course,
is a bestiality, and Puerto Madero is a luxury completely. They live in a different world. And I was looking at people and looking at a lot of young guys, and they were screaming at each other. And it was the lowest of the consciousness I could see. And said, that's why I'm here. It's the only thing that I think of. I know if we can touch part of that person in the right way,
Mm.
it will bring up something that is we are missing from that person.
Yes, I love that. It's let people live to their fullest potential.
Instead of criticizing them, I saw the bestiality, I saw the bad and the awful and everything. I saw something that it really hit me like, oh my God, he's living the worst life possible. And I said, that's why you're doing this.
That's why you're doing that.
Mhm.
Gosh. Wow. So much to take in. Thank you so much, Jorge. This has been so delightful. And I look forward to having Bruce here soon and in a couple weeks. And we'll talk about that too and get that going. But thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
for this
welcome.
moment.
Thank you for
Thank
sharing your story today and your knowledge. And it's been such a blessing getting to know you. And I'm glad I got to share with you today, everyone. So take care, everyone. Definitely share and subscribe. We appreciate that. And leave some comments. We'll answer your questions. And I'll put all your information, how you can reach Jorge, and you can follow his Instagram and social media as well. You can get in touch with him. All right, everyone. Thank you again. Stay connected.
Take care.